Okay guys, so just come back from a really productive trip to our manufacturing suppliers and things are looking really good. So we've got about 90% of the parts now in their hundreds, which was great to see, awaiting anodizing. And because anodizing is the last step, the main reason of this trip was to be over there to check all those parts before they go off for anodizing. So checking things like the threads, checking the fit, checking the key dimensions for some of the parts that are really sensitive to the tolerances on those holes or whatever the feature is. So a few examples of things like the hinges here. So we've got there, that's a raw part and finished anodized part. So before this anodizing process, we just need to make sure that things like this pin that interfaces with this hole are exactly exactly to spec. So this is a bushing that gets pressed into that hole, so that hole needs to be really well toleranced. And then during our checks, we just use, because these are pretty tight tolerances, hard to measure, we use gauges just to check that fit. So we have go-no gauges there just to make sure that that fit is exactly as we want it. Some other parts as well, things like this is part of the frame. It's quite a complicated part. This is where the seat post gets inserted. So that tolerance as well needs to be very carefully controlled. So if this hole is too big, then under the weight of the rider, the seat post starts to slide down. And if it's too small, then when you come to fold the bike, there's too much friction and it's difficult to push the seat post in. So we've been using gauges to check that as well, and that's looking really good. So that part is near completion. And then finally, the kind of last hurdle has been this part. This is part of the rear swing arm, and we've done things. We've changed the geometry on this several times. We've changed the material. The latest material that we're using needs to be heat treated, which introduces a bit of distortion. So we had to overcome some issues with alignment. But we're finally there, and the new version's looking really good. And we've just hit go on the manufacturing batch of these. So with that last part ordered, we now have the last few parts to make before anodizing, and then when the parts are anodized, they'll be shipped over here to Cambridge, where we'll be doing all the bonding. So basically, bonding together all these parts to make fully finished frames, and then the assembly as well. So taking the frames and attaching things like the wheels, the pedals, the chain to make a fully finished bike, ready to ship to you. So yeah, thank you very much for your patience. Really looking forward to giving you the latest updates as we go. But it's looking good and we're very close now.